Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, joining you from eTurbo News, this time in Las Vegas, Nevada. After 3 days of IMEX trade show, the meeting and incentive trade show, very successful. We're going to talk about it. It's wonderful weather here. It's nice and warm and sunny. And wondering how things are in College Station, Texas this morning, Peter.
Well,
we have Peter Tarlow joining us.
They're beautiful. The weather is great. It's good to see you in Las Vegas. I guess our theme today would be, you can bet on tourism. So hopefully the tourism industry this is a sign of the tourism industry coming back. And, Las Vegas is a unique place, to say the least. It's wonderful to know that the IMEX show was such a huge success. That's really good news for the tourism industry.
Yeah, it is. I think it really made a difference. Ray Bloom, who started this show 19 years ago, is going now in his 20th year. And actually the number 20 or 20th year of the show will be in Frankfurt next year. So now they're going to go working full steam to also relaunch the meeting market in Europe, but they certainly launched it in Las Vegas. The 3-day event was packed. People came from all over the world. It went coincide, and there was a lot of luck involved in this, that when the United States opened up its borders to international travelers on Monday, the 8th, the show started on the 9th. So I myself, I came in from Europe on the 8th, and on the flight from Germany I was on, we had many people actually going to Las Vegas like I did to IMEX. So it was a very popular event. The word was here. People were so happy to see each other after 2 years of COVID lockdown, and the meeting industry looks like it's coming back. It has been booming here. Besides IMEX, there are several other events going on at the same time. Las Vegas is expensive, it's busy. You get ripped off in the convenience stores for $6 of a small bottle of water. So I think times are good.
Yeah, well, and of course the symbol of Las Vegas is Lady Luck. And so not only were you lucky in the sense that the United States reopened its borders a day before the show, but what better place to deal with luck than in Las Vegas, which is a city based around luck. So I've spent many days in Las Vegas, and because we used to run our tourism security conference there, and hopefully as COVID goes away, God willing, we'll be able to bring some of those conferences back again. So that'll be, really good. Lots is going on in the world. I just see that Holland is now talking about the Netherlands about a shutdown because of a new major spread of COVID in Holland, in the Netherlands, and so that's an unfortunate issue. I had my COVID test today because I'm leaving for the Middle East on tomorrow night. And I must tell you, was shocked at how efficient it was. This was a PCR test. I went in, I made a schedule at 8 o'clock. At 8:15, I had my results.
Wow.
It was so, and this is not the rapid test. This was the full PCR test, but they actually had the laboratory right in the parking lot. I walked to it, took the test. By the time I got home, there was an email on my phone saying, your PCR test is negative. You're good to go. So,
and how much was the PCR test?
Pardon?
How much was it?
It's free in Texas. PCR tests are free.
Even PCR tests?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, that looks like where the oil money is, right?
I don't know if the oil. We have a smart governor, and they spend things on the area. But no, it cost me nothing to get a PCR test. And some people go on a regular basis. It was 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The laboratory is right there in the middle of the parking lot in front of the Kohl's department store. And walked in, did the PCR test, and they sent it back to me. It couldn't have been easier.
Yeah, and you're right. The situation in Europe is serious. Numbers are increasing despite high vaccination rates. The same is not only true in Holland, it's true in Belgium, in Germany, in Luxembourg, in Austria, all over Europe. There seems to be, the winter is coming.
Yeah.
And they may be going into another scene. I can tell you from my former hometown of birth in Düsseldorf, yesterday was the 11th of November, and at 11:11 in the morning, that's the official beginning of Carnival. And it did start. There are massive amount of people in front of the city hall. My sister works in the city hall, and she was able to take pictures. We published it in eTN News. But in the city of Cologne, where Carnival is really in everyone's genes, the prince, the main person who's in charge of the Carnival, couldn't participate because he was down with a high fever and Corona. So Corona is definitely still a reality.
Oh, sure it is. As you know, Jen Psaki, the spokesperson for the president of the United States, has Corona, and that's why she could not go to the summit in Scotland, because of the fact that she got infected with Corona. So it's still there. I did see today that Dr. Fauci is saying that the United States is now going to start depending on the Israeli data. And the Israeli data really encourages everyone to get a booster shot. So I think that's really the next stage of this is not only should you get your first shot and your second, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, whichever way you want to count it, we all need to get our booster shots. And I've had mine, and I think you've had yours. And
yes, I had mine before I went to Europe. And talking about Europe, I really hope that authorities like the UNWTO seems to be failing here quite a bit, but maybe other international bodies can streamline requirements, travel requirements. It's still highly confusing. For example, when I went to the World Travel Market in London, it wasn't clear till you actually get to the airport what you really need. And it turned out that you needed to schedule a test on the second day of arrival in the United Kingdom.
Which makes no sense.
I tried to do this on my phone, because without having this scheduled and getting a certain QR code, you cannot really board the flight.
And so I was able to understand why you would do it on the second day. You would.
Well, I don't know either. But listen, Peter, what is the sense.
If you have COVID for 2 days, you're going to infect everybody and then get a test to discover that you've infected everybody?
Well, first you have to show that you're fully vaccinated or you had a test here. And then you need this test on the second day. And what is the confusing part, and that's for our listeners and viewers also maybe to understand, because it helps. I was confused. I was standing there with my iPhone trying to schedule this test, and they give you a choice, not only one choice, they give you like a couple hundred choices of different facilities starting from £1 up to 130 pounds. So I figure if I take the middle of the line, I took one for 55 pounds, came out to $85, scheduled the test, had no idea where to go and what to do. And after I was done and did get my QR code, and when I landed in London and no one actually checked anything, and I asked the hotel front desk, they said, no, you don't have to go anywhere because they're sending the test to the hotel. And they did. Actually, I got the test on the last day when I checked out. And I was ready to go to the airport again. That's when I actually made
no offense to our British friends, but I think this is a highly illogical system. Right. I encourage, instead of going to London, people should come to Houston or Dallas, where things are simple, logical, and we won't charge you for a PCR test. And so life here is a lot easier. But I'm leaving on Saturday night, or really Sunday morning, for the Middle East, and going into Israel is incredibly logical now. They tell you exactly what to do. It's very simply done, and you do have to, when you land, take another PCR test, but they tell you what it's going to cost, which is not very much. It's about $20, and that's it, and you're good to go. But everything is mapped out for you in a very simple, logical pattern. I think Saudi Arabia is doing something very similar, and so maybe Europe needs to catch up with the Middle East.
Yeah, and every country has its own rules, and it is very confusing. And what it is, I crossed 3 different borders on this last trip. And every time you go through all these procedures, and when you cross the border and you think you really have something established, because you have all these tests, you did all this paperwork, you have all this QR code. No one is ever asking for it.
Yeah.
You want people to check you, but no one is checking. So
No, I know. It's very strange. So one of the things I think that's really good is that all this shows the importance of the World Tourism Network. We got some wonderful publicity this week in Mexico. One of the pushes in Mexico is to get a national tourism security police. And interestingly enough, almost all the newspapers in Mexico picked that storyline up, and they promoted our World Tourism Network as symbolic of the fact that one of the things that when we make a statement that this is now being listened to, at least in Latin America, by many governments as an important issue. So I think we should be really proud because we represent 100, what is it, 24 countries? You know better than I do.
128, under 28.
128. Sorry to the last 4 countries, but 128 countries. And one of the things that we've been trying to do in the World Tourism Network is once a week or so, make statements. So one of the things we've done is talked about the importance of the tourism industry becoming organized and the importance of the tourism industry not losing the enchantment of travel. Because people only travel for 2 reasons, either business or pleasure. And business, the competition is really Zoom, is people can now be on the internet. And if we make life too difficult and too miserable, people are going to say, forget it, done. So it's really important. I see the airlines have become difficult again. The food is almost unedible on airlines. Basically, you need to, it's a bus in the sky. And all the beauty of travel has been replaced. The other thing that is infuriating is when a hotel says, well, you have a clean room when you come in and we're not going to clean it again. You would think for COVID, you would want the room cleaned and sanitized every day. No, they're doing the exact opposite. And I think that's really going to hurt the tourism industry. So I think it's really important that the World Tourism Network work on such issues as internationally as sanitation, on maintaining enchantment to the tourism industry, and coming up with international systems so that people, especially if you're crossing 4 or 5 borders, you're not going through millions of pages of paperwork and then discover nobody cares anyway.
Yeah, no, and I think the world has to get to this, and it takes a lot more coordination. Every country, of course, is concerned for its own citizens. This is legitimate. But if we wanted the global travel and tourism industry to smoothly operate, yes, absolutely. I mean, there needs to be better coordination. But the good thing is the world is opening up. Now, we Americans are welcome again to travel to anywhere in Europe, and Europeans are welcome to come and visit us here in the US. And I guess we forget about the higher COVID numbers because we have the same problem here. It looks like the economy is really taking the lead here. And let's hope we can all stay safe in the process.
It's going to be a real issue. One of the big problems besides COVID, of course, as you've seen, and now the government is talking about it, is we had the most rapid rise of inflation in the last 30 years. And that's going to hurt the tourism industry because as food prices go up, there's the whole issue of people having supply side and not being able to get materials, but costs are going up, but salaries are not keeping up with those costs. And so that's going to hurt the recovery, and we need to really work to get inflation under control. Inflation is nothing more than a tax of the poor. And we don't call it a tax, we call it inflation, but it's really the same thing. It's your money is worth less.
Yeah, it needs to be under control. I fully agree. We don't want to get into a hyperinflation like it was the case in Zimbabwe, for example. It was the case in Indonesia and other countries. So we don't want to get there. And I think we're far away from this, but it needs to be under control.
It is somewhat of a threat. So it's important that we're able to do it. I think I lost you there for a second. There you are. You came back.
Sorry about that.
Yes. But anyway, I'm glad that you were able to get to Las Vegas. I think one of the things we need to begin to focus on is because the UNWTO has not done a lot. It's really important that the World Tourism Network and other organizations such as ours, the World Travel Markets, etc., really fill in the space. Physics tells us that nature abhors a vacuum. And because the UNWTO has not filled in where it should have, we have we might call tourism vacuum, an empty space. And this is where other organizations can come in and really show the way and really reconstruct the tourism industry in a way that is better than ever before.
No, absolutely, Peter. And well, we're going to hopefully keep in touch when you're in Israel next week.
I'll be, well, maybe we'll try to do a program from Jerusalem, and I can do an extra prayer that COVID goes away.
All right.
As you know, that in like Israel, they tell people that calls to heaven are very expensive, except in Jerusalem, where it's a local call. So, all right. Take care. Have a wonderful day and a safe journey back to Hawaii.
And same to you. Have a nice journey to Israel and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And everyone else, if you wanted to hear more of our conversations, just go to livestream.travel or better to our YouTube channel. If you go to eturbonews.com or anywhere, you can probably see this broadcast repeat, but you can always click on the archive and go back and see what we talked about a day ago, 2 days ago, or a year ago. Thank you, everyone. And next time I'm going to say aloha again when I get to Hawaii. Thank you. Bye-bye.